group of people from coming together and pick up trash. I just don't see how that drifts into that discussion, but it keeps coming from different directions. That asking a question about an organization and how it's formed and how its finances are is trying to stop picking up trash. This is not trying to stop picking up trash. Now, with that, we always, I know I try to get advice from my legal department and to give me some guidance. So if I can, I'd like to ask, I see Mr. Chip is filling in for our legal advisor. Mr. Chip, can you give me some guidance on my question lines? Is it on target, off target, or should we ask these questions? Do we need to know this information? Whatever to give us guidance on the topic of where I was going, I guess.
Councilman Segor, we have a legal obligation to be transparent with the community. And that's the purpose of an open council meeting. And when it was learned that the Kenner United logo was being associated with political speech, that's clearly a violation of federal law. His choice to associate the logo with his political speech was intentional and illegal. If not illegal, certainly misleading. It should never have been associated. He has every right to his political opinions. But when he associates his non-political, as he said, apolitical organization that's been granted a nonprofit license, he's now changed it. And it's our obligation to bring that to the public's attention. Likewise, when you and the mayor discovered that several businesses were misled or they misunderstood the purpose for the money that they were donating, it was the mayor's obligation, your obligation, to bring it to everyone's attention that at least a misunderstanding is going on, and God help us, hopefully nothing more than that. But those are legitimate questions to ask. And as the mayor has said, and you have said, and everyone, the original goal of this cleanup was noble. It changed in August when he turned this into potentially a political event. And he turned Kenner United into Kenner Divided.
That's good.
Thank you. Well, again, that's just sort of recaps what I thought I was trying to accomplish here, was bring out that picking up trash is not the issue. It's where the organization is at. And the organization was clearly confusing when you have a nonprofit symbol on a political page, and individuals or people in the community, whether they be businesses that want to contribute or don't contribute or want to participate in the pickup, think that if it's coming on city property and city council's approving it, that we're authorizing and condoning this. But then it gets confused when you see that that group is politically motivated also, and that is not what we're supposed to be doing. So again, that's my line of questioning, was to try to clarify that, and contrary to statements, it's not political, it's just transparency in government, because we have a issue to vote on right now that is looking to use city government property that, if approved, and it appears that an organization has different ideas and values than what it portrays, it was transparent to bring out and use that in consideration of whether to approve what we're trying to do. So, again, as we've also, and I think it was Councilman Wilmot at the last meeting, was very clear to say this, that if the group had less than 100 people, then a public gathering permit is not needed. So we really have no harm to the organization if it's not approved. And that is true. And I'm not going to keep banning numbers around, but personally, out of the first and then the second that I saw, and let me back up a second. This years, the term years has been thrown out. This is not years. Remember, this organization formed in March of 2018, and we're only in September of 2019. So it's 1 year and some months that the organization was formed. They've done 2 previous cleanups. This would be the third in that span of year and some months. With that, you know, the numbers that are being bandied about, hundreds, 200, 300, I never witnessed any of that, and I would challenge a head count to prove that. If the documents were available and were presented, but apparently it's the opinion of the organization and its representative that the only way to get documents is go through the task of personally asking for them, even though the IRS statute says that it's a public record and should be made public. Doesn't say you have to ask for it to be public to get it, you just should be public. So I just don't have a good, strong feeling for the organization, and I'm trying to make that clear. I don't care if the organization and every member, friends, family, whatever, wants to go pick up trash, go do it. We don't have a problem with that. It's just trying to approve something for an organization that still has a spotty record. So with that, in closing, I'm just going to have to be opposed to this and cannot support without the fact that, yeah, okay, it's always we go do something to get something instead of them coming to us. And I think Councilman Hayes was right on target saying, yeah, you should be putting your financials available to the public much easier. Maybe that would have resolve some of these questions sooner if they were more readily available. And as the mayor commented when this first came up, to be opening a can of worms to ask a public question of a transparency type question. So I'm not sure what kind of can of worms that opens if we do ask questions in this fashion. So with that, I'm against it, and I would like to ask for a indefinite deferral on this vote, too. So I'll make a motion for an indefinite deferral. If anyone chooses a second, so be it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Segura. Do I have a second to the indefinite deferral? I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes on an indefinite deferral. Your conversation will now be deterred to indefinite deferral. So you could please stay to that.
And I'll just start by saying the reason for the indefinite deferral is because the records are still not available to us at this point to make a decision, and by moving forward without those records would be very harsh on us for the public to say we're doing something just to placate to an issue. I want records before I make a decision.
Council President, could I say something? I apologize for leaving the room. I've been under the weather the last couple of days and had to get some fresh air because I was feeling nauseous. We had 2 prior cleanup Kenner days. Our financial records were never asked for then. They've never been asked for in the last year and a half by anyone, by a sponsor, by a council member, no one. If they would have asked, we would have provided them. I would have brought them here to this meeting.
Mr. Benetti, is this, are you have to speak on what, with regard to the deferral
Well,
of the
I'm opposed to an indefinite deferral. As I said, the matter of getting a public gathering permit was us trying to follow Kenner's procedures, which we were technically not required to do, but we've done anyway, because I don't want anyone on the council or the mayor or anyone in his administration to say Kenner United does not follow the rules that every other nonprofit organization follows. We followed the rules. This was approved by every city department before it came to you. There were no questions, there were no comments, there were no issues. My personal profile picture on my personal Facebook page has been the same off and on for a year and a half.
Okay, Mr. Benetti, can we call for a vote for, does anyone else have anything on, so they would like to say on the deferral? Councilmember Wilmot.
I just had a question from legal. If the number of participants is greater than 99, is this permit mandatory?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Yes, sir. 100 and up.
100 and up, yeah.
100 and up. So 100 and up, you have to have a permit. Okay, so, and it's possible, I guess, from the numbers that Mr. Benetti had mentioned earlier, it's very possible that it could go beyond the 99. So a permit's important to have. And this goes to the deferral, so I want to make sure everybody's aware before they vote. And also, the overall goal of having a cleanup day for the city, that's not an illegal function that you're aware of, is it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So let's call for a vote on that.
Okay, council members, you're voting on indefinite deferral. Please vote. One more. Madam Chairman, motion fails 3-4. Council members Brennan, Wilmot, McKinney, and Carroll are opposed. You got them? Brennan, Wilmot, McKinney, and Carroll.
Okay, so now we're going to vote on whether to give the permit or not. We're still going to have discussion on that, correct? Would anyone like to have any further comments on this? Mr. Bernetti, I have a couple of questions for you. And I know this has been, I'll ask the questions as you approach. So I know this has been asked before, previously, but I just want to make clarification. So I know you do pre-registration, but you haven't counted. Do you anticipate more than 100 participants at this event?
Well, at the cleanup day, we will have several hundred. And Councilman Segura may or may not be aware that there are groups that pre-register, like the Bonnabelle Key Club, like the Bonnabelle Band, that don't come to register on site. And some of them don't attend the luncheon afterwards. The Kenner Boxing Club went out there, 18 youths, and cleaned up Kenner. They did not attend the luncheon. So we anticipate over 100 just because we know there's going to be several hundred people throughout the city. Now, not all of them come back for the thank you luncheon. Some of them at cleaning up South Kenner or North Kenner don't want to come to Central Kenner to eat lunch. It may be too hot. They may have other things to do. There's an LSU game that night. Whatever the reason is.
Okay, thank you. And then, so if this event is not approved by this council, will you continue to have the cleanup day?
Absolutely. The cleanup day has nothing to do with the public gathering permit. And as I mentioned, Parks and Recreation told me, we have 2 pavilions. So that allows us up to 200 people without the need for a public gathering permit. We just try to follow the rules like everyone else.
Okay.
And you've supported us in the past.
Yes. And
When we had our first cleanup Kenner Day, we didn't know what the turnout would be, but we wanted to follow the rules.
Thank you. And then who are your previous and current sponsors?
The Treasure Chest Casino has been a sponsor of every Cleanup Kenner Day, as has Pepsi, and Chick-fil-A Kenner, and the original Italian Pie of Kenner, and Public Service Commissioner Eric Skermetta. Councilman Zahn was a sponsor for our first 2 events. I asked him, since our deadline is today, I texted him if he was going to sponsor us again, but I think he's not going to, and that's okay. He did not respond to my text message. And there are others. Danny Ream, who's a prominent Kenner citizen, has been a sponsor of every Cleanup Kenner Day. School board members, Sandy DeNapolis, and then school board member Melinda Doucette, sponsored Cleanup Kenner Day. They all know it's a good event.
And then my last question is, I know Councilman Segura mentioned that he was at the event, or he had seen the event. Has Councilman Segura attended this event?
No, I think he came to the first registration. I don't recall seeing him at the last registration.
Oh, I didn't hear that you said he was there.
I didn't speak to Councilman Segura. I know we spoke at the first one. I know I saw him. We were in a photo together. With the mayor as well.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Well,
Just clarification on me. First of all, I'm not a councilman. Second of all, I did not sponsor in my capacity. I sponsored through my business.
thank you.
Madam Chair, we have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by a councilmember
I'll
to
second.
invoke Rule 29. At this time, you're voting to enforce Rule 29, you're calling the question. Councilman? Yes, you're voting to call the question right now. Motion passes 7-0 to call the question. You're back to your original motion. There will be no discussion. You will vote on the application that is on the floor, which is application 2178-19. You're voting to approve or deny that application. Council members, please vote. Motion passes 4-3. Council members Brannigan, Hayes, and Segura are opposed. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to the next order of business, which is to change the order of business to take item 13A at the beginning of the meeting. I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes, to discuss item 13A at the beginning of the meeting. Council members, please vote to change your order of business. Motion passes 7-0 to change the order of business. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing the placement of temporary signs on Kenner public property, advertising the Cleanup Kenner Day, hosted by Kenner United Incorporated. I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes, to indefinitely defer. Any discussion on the indefinite deferral of item 13A?
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that, the signs and so forth that we have, or Kenner United, I should say, has on this event, I think it has an impact on the attendance. And I think it's important that we maintain these and allow them to continue to maintain these for this event and when they need them. I don't want to hamper this event. I think it's a good event, and that's where I stand on the issue. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilwoman, can I make one quick comment regarding the signs?
After Councilman Segura speaks.
Okay.
Councilman Segura.
My real purpose on just the sign issue was because I received a lot of complaints that the signs were not removed days and weeks after the event. So my concern there was you're putting up signs at our permission on public right-of-ways, and then they're not being removed. So if it's the pleasure of this council that he puts up his signs, I strongly urge him to remove them. Thank you.
Mr. Benetti, if you.
Well, then let me make two quick statements to address Councilman Segura. We received no complaints that our signs were up for weeks. To our knowledge, we had crews out there after the event that Sunday picking up signs, and that Saturday. To the best of our knowledge, we may have missed a sign or two, but we went out and picked those up when we were notified. The second point that I'd like to make about the temporary sign requests that you have supported in the past is the first sign that we put out is the week of the event. It's a white sign that promotes the event so that we can get more volunteers to clean up more of Kenner. That is something you should all support. The second sign that we put out goes out the Friday night or the Saturday morning of the event. That's a yellow sign that warns oncoming motorists that our volunteers are in the median picking up trash. It's about the safety of your constituents. How can you be against that? Thank you.
Well, do I still have the floor? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, you're trying to persuade the issue to your side. Never once said I'm trying to harm the citizens for picking up trash.
I didn't signal you out specifically.
You just
Councilman.
questioned me. Never mind. I'll get called down because I'm answering your question. As I said, the issue that I got to complain on was that after the event, weeks and days and weeks after, your signs were not picked up and removed from city property. There is laws that we have on that, and we'll just enforce those laws on you. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Councilman. We have not asked for any special treatment other than the fact that we've asked the mayor to contact Ramelli and provide us with a roll-top dumpster so people can put their trash bags in. That's the only asset we've used from the city. On their own, Public Works and Code Enforcement have gone out during the cleanup day and picked up bags of trash from volunteers. We did not request that, but we certainly appreciate their efforts. We appreciate the support of the city, although, again, we are not affiliated with the city in any way. We do not take any city funds, and we have no donations from anyone in this room.
On Monday morning.
Mayor Zahn, as he stated, was a sponsor for his own personal business, not in his capacity as mayor, because we are not political. Councilman, or Public Service Commissioner Skrmeta is a personal friend for a long time. He wanted to be involved. Since his jurisdiction includes more than just Kenner, I allowed that. What are you holding up, Councilman?
Political statements with your logo on it.
On my personal Facebook page, not on the Kenner United page.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti. Mayor Zahn.
So I'm going to let the code director say a few words, but I've had to call the code director on the issue of the signs, at least by Monday morning, to say, please just go pick them up. I believe we held them for Mr. Benetti. I don't think we trashed them, but it will be an issue this year, just to let you know, the signs on public right-of-ways.
We did go out last year and pick up the signs, and we did bring them to our holding facility. We don't have a problem giving them back to them, but we would like not to have to do that because we're being inundated right now with a lot of other problems throughout the city of Kenner. We're really working hard, and we're not looking for any extra work because we got enough.
Thank you, Director Mohammed. Mr. Benetti.
Sorry, Councilwoman. The first Cleanup Kenner Day was last May. The last Cleanup Kenner Day was last October. This is the first time I'm hearing from anyone that there was an issue with our signs being out there for weeks or that code having to pick them up. They never notified me to come and pick them up. They never sent me a physical letter, called me, texted me, or anything, nor did the mayor. If this was an issue, which I don't believe it was, but if it was, we would have rectified it back then. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilmot.
Walt, if you just come back to the podium for a second. That being the case, we understand that apparently that there was an issue last year. But for this year coming, if this is granted, will you make a commitment now that the signs will be picked up timely?
We will do our best to document where our signs are located. We have volunteers that go out and put the signs up. As you know, with my leg, I can't put up signs.
Right.
But we will document or attempt to document where they put up the signs and follow up and pick them up as rapidly as we can. They will not be out there a week after the event or even several days after the event. If they are, contact me from your districts. Tell me where they are. I'll go out there and pick them up myself.
And I understand sometimes some signs might get overlooked. It's possible, but you're going to do your best is what I'm getting from that.
Absolutely. There are Ben Zahn mayor signs out there in Kenner from years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought there was a sign ordinance about political signs.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I had.
Mayor Zahn, and then Ms. Molina.
I guess my question would be, if Mr. Benetti reuses the signs, why did he need to be called to be told that he was short on some signs for the next cleanup day? So we don't take our time to call Mr. Benetti and tell him he needs to go pick up his signs. We just go ahead and do it because it is a cleanup day, so we need to clean up the mess that was also left from the signs. But if he's so into his signs, he's obviously short a few signs because he just stated, no one called me to come get them, I could have used them. So I'm just wondering why he's not short a few signs if he knows that he didn't get those signs back.
Ms. Molina? Mr. Benetti, you could speak after. Respond.
Saley Molina, 5th District, and just to show that sometimes you agree, sometimes you disagree. In this case, I agree with Mr. Segura that we need to enforce those sign ordinances, and that I hope that Kenner United, if he's really going to clean up, that he does clean up all of his signs afterwards. But with that said, it would be nice to have that ordinance enforced across the board fairly. We've had political signs 20 days before the Kenner ordinances allow it, and code enforcement has not been, the code has not been enforced. And you can drive from the beginning, from the lake to the river in Kenner, and see badly placed, illegal political signs right now in the middle of election season. So I agree with you, Councilman Segura, but I would just, hope that that rule and that ordinance is, across the board for everyone, not just some people. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Molina. Mr. Benetti, would you like to respond, or then we can vote.
Just to quickly respond to the mayor, we don't count our signs, but I do know that for the last cleanup day and for this cleanup day as well, we've purchased additional signage, so we can cover more of the city of Kenner. Some people keep the signs. Some people throw them away after the event. They don't return them to us. I have no control over that. I can control if they're picked up or not, and to the best of my knowledge, they have been. If that has been an issue, I would like to know about it. And if it's an issue for the next Cleanup Kenner Day, I'd like to know that too.
Yes, Mr. Bernetti, I just, I just want to reiterate, I think Mayor Zahn was saying this, it's a cleanup day for Kenner, so obviously we want to clean up trash, but we also don't want to have additional signs. I know you've committed to that. Just want to make that sure that that's the paramount, top priority after the event.
Absolutely. It defeats our purpose
Exactly.
for holding the cleanup day.
Okay, Council, I don't know if Councilmember Wilmot would like to speak again.
Yeah, I just had one question. Well, as far as the signs, if this wasn't approved, would this have a negative impact on your cleanup day?
Well, we would certainly, probably receive less volunteers because there would not be the week promotion ahead of the event. Obviously, the safety signs could hinder the public safety of our volunteers.
So the overall outcome by not approving this, it would be less trash picked up and possibly not putting motorists on alert that they have workers in the area.
Right, and I think partially because of the signs, we've had no accidents or incidents during the past 2 Cleanup Kenner days.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mayor Zahn?
So we clean up multiple days during the week. We do a big cleanup on a Monday morning. Just to let you know, I don't think any of you all or our citizens have ever seen a sign on our public right-of-ways saying, "Watch out." So our employees wear bright orange vests. I would suggest that Mr. Benetti and Kenner United go and get some bright orange vests with all these donations that come in and actually purchase that. If he's really out there to produce and the logo, show the logo, why not put Kenner United on the orange vest and get out there, just like he put on his personal Facebook page. So our employees, I've never heard one council person be concerned about our employees out there picking up trash without a sign, because you don't need to be. You don't need to be worried about it, because they have the bright orange vest on.
Okay.
Council members, please vote on indefinite deferral. Yes, your motion right now is indefinite deferral.
On what? Wait, Natalie. They did that.
Okay.
You're voting on indefinite deferral of Resolution 13A. One more vote? Madam Chairman, motion fails 7-0 for indefinite deferral. You're back to your original motion on 13A to approve 13A. Any discussion on approval? Council members, please vote for approval of 13A. Madam President, motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Brannigan is opposed. Okay. Point of clarification. Point of clarification, motion passes 7-0 to approve item 13A. We will go back to our consent agenda now. Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes of the regular council meeting of September 5th, 2019. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. Item 2A is a resolution approving the application of Divine Mercy Catholic Church to hold a bingo on September 28, 2019 at 4337 Salentini Parkway, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2178-19, which was already taken under item 14. Item 3B is application number 2186-19, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 4th and 5th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on October the 4th from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. on October 5th for the purpose of Oktoberfest in Rivertown. Item 3C is application number 2187-19, Popeyes to hold a public gathering on September 25th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the purpose of a company picnic in Kenner Veterans Park. Item 3D is application number 2188-19, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 26, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of movie in the park in Kenner at Heritage Park. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, and department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Yes, Mayor Zahn?
Thank you. Did some code sweeps this past week. In District 4, we did the 600 to 900 blocks of Vouray in Councilman Brannigan's district. With the help of his office, we were able to get 44 violations, 24 warning violations, and 1 court summons. I want to thank Councilman Brannigan for that, and also the code department. In District 3, Councilman Hayes' district, we did the 1,600 to 1,700 blocks of 42nd Street. We had 34 violations, 6 warning violations, and 16 court summons. I also want to thank Councilman Hayes for helping, but also I heard you walked with the code inspectors, so it's very nice of you and very supportive. So I want to thank you, because I've heard a lot of feedback on that, on how you did that. Into District 2, and it shows the difference. We went into the 3,200 blocks of the 3,300 blocks of Iowa because Neighborhood Street, pretty good area in District 2 with the help of Councilman Segur, but had a complaint of some activity going on in there. That's why we went directly into the neighborhood. I know you probably don't get a lot of complaints there, Councilman Segur, but it shows the difference in our Neighborhood Street. 12 violations, 8 warning violations, and 0 court summons. So we probably won't spend too much more time doing that again. Good news, sales tax. As you hear out there, that the City of Kenner continues to have problems, and you might hear from some outside business groups that we're not moving ahead in the City of Kenner. I disagree. We're up 7.38% same month last year, from the same month last year, I'm sorry. That's $227,000. So last year this time, we were down $227,000 from what we just collected. For the fiscal year, almost 7%, we're up, which is a total of $637,000, very close to 638, right, really. That is good news. We keep moving ahead. You know, I think it's 85 or 86, you were the last one. I know you finally got one instead of Councilman Segur having one. Ribbon cutting that we did, it was 85 or 86. That shows the growth of the City of Kenner. With that said, I'm going to turn it over, if you don't mind, Council Chairman, to Ryan Bergeron, who's going to come and talk about something that's, look, I want to thank the fire departments and the police departments that continue to do this. The 9/11, is he here? The 9/11 stair climb, which is going to actually happen, I believe, tomorrow. He has a lot of particulars. I cannot be there. I have another commitment, but this is very important. And I want to thank these departments throughout all the areas and probably throughout the United States that continue to do this and remember what happened on 9/11. Chief Bergeron.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to bring some attention to, tomorrow is going to be the 4th annual New Orleans 9/11 stair climb. Just wanted to let the council know and let the public know that we should have a pretty good turnout here within the department. Also, I know there's a bunch of Kenner policemen that are going to participate also. So the climb starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's at 400 Poydras at the Regions Bank building. Just wanted to let y'all know about it if you had any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, Councilman Segur.
Is Officer Lewis going to be walking again or climbing? Good, thank you. I want to point out that he has done this on behalf of the police department, so I want to commend him for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Lynn. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to comment on the mayor comments about the code department and the sweeps that we're doing. I'd like to thank Director Muhammad. With his support of the men and the women, there is a question because District 1 is not contiguous as 2, 3, 4, and 5, we are at the river, we are in the middle, we are in District 5 per se. So a couple of residents have said, well, you're doing a good job in District 1, but I don't see it. And it's because they don't get to see the bleed over like the other districts, street after street after street. So I will talk to you after about a specific area that, because of how we are, gerrymandered per se, of an area that I think they would like to have some additional support. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilman Carroll, you know my phone's always on. I never turn it off.
Right,
Even when I'm in a dead sleep, it's on.
right. And
Anyway,
I
you
tested.
can always call me, and if there's a problem in some particular area, I'm going to be there. I'll never let you down. I'm not going to.
No.
So, and look, we have been in your area, in District 1, heavily. 27th Street, you're going to see big changes there. Behind Sam's. Sam's is totally cleaned up. There's a lot of new houses going in there. I'm proud to say I'm a part of that because we work really hard behind and back there. It's getting a lot of new families moving in, and I'm happy about it. But my phone's on. Call me.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. All I'm saying is the area is chopped up. A lot of people may not know District 1 is also by the down airline on Councilman Segura's side. That is part of District 1 too, Lee Sand and Menden, that's District 1. Then you cross over airline, that's District 1. Then you go to Veteran Heights, Susan Park, Lincoln Manor, University City. So it's all over. All I'm saying is someone had called and said you're doing a great job, but they have not seen it in their specific spot. And I will let you know where that is after the meeting. Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Is the mayor finished with his report?
The mayor had to step outside, so I'm assuming he's finished. If not, we'll ask you to give us leave when he comes back to add anything that's missing.
Okay. Okay. Motion,
No, Item 5 is acceptance of and rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. Item 8A is summary ordinance number 12,598, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of ARPAT lots 134, 135, 136, 169, 170, 171, 180, 181, 182, 183, 216, 217, 218, 219, portions of ARPAT lots 124, 125, 126, 127, 132, 133, 172, 173, 179, 220, and 221, the front part of Lot 4 and the revoked portions of Perry Street, Scott Street, and Franklin Street, Old Kenner subdivision, into lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, Old Kenner subdivision. Item 8B is summary ordinance number 12,599, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lot C1A1, University City subdivision, into lots C2A2 and C2B2, University City subdivision, which lots are owned by Perimeter Kenner Realty LLC. Item 8C is summary ordinance number 12,600, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lot D1 Canes Brule subdivision into lots D1A and D1B Canes Brule subdivision, which lot is owned by the Esplanade Mall Realty Holding LLC. Madam Chairman, that concludes the consent agenda this morning.
thank you, ma'am. Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Madam President, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,597, an ordinance approving a general advertising sign in a LI light industrial zoning district for Maymar Engineering and Contractors LLC, doing business as Evergreen Media on lots 38 square 216, Bainbridge Office and Industrial Park subdivision.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
To open your public hearing, please. One more. Madam President, motion passes 7-0 to open your public hearing. We have a presentation, I believe, by
Yes, we
the
do.
Planning Department, if we could entertain that at this time.
Yes,
Thank you, Madam President.
Director Dufour.
The owner of the property is Slimane Matkeef, 140 Wood Lake Boulevard, Kenner, Louisiana, 70124. The applicant is Maymar Engineers and Contractors, LLC, doing business as Evergreen Signs Media, 5752 Bel Air Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. The proposal is for the placement of a 35-foot tall, 288-square-foot, double-sided electronic general advertising sign on Lot 28, Square 216, Bainbridge Industrial Park. The surrounding properties, thank you, sorry about that. Lot 38 is located at the southeast corner of 27th Street and the east side northbound lane of Bainbridge Avenue, and generally bounded by Fulton Street to the south and Virginia Street to the east. Lot 38 is currently developed as an automotive-related property use. Square 216, along with all of the surrounding properties, are zoned light industrial, and all the uses are consistent with the light industrial zoning district in the city. The proposal includes the placement of a 35-foot tall, 288-square-foot, which is 12 by 24 faced, double-sided electronic general advertising sign. The sign will be mounted on a monopole foundation located to the front northwest portion of Lot 38. In addition to the application for the billboard, the applicant also submitted Form 7460-1 to the Federal Aviation Administration, providing notice of proposed construction in a flight path area. In June of 2019, the FAA issued a determination of no hazard to air navigation for the billboard at this location. General advertising signs are permitted in the city of Kenner pursuant to 4 points in the Unified Development Code. There are no other general advertising signs within 1,000 feet of this proposed sign. This proposed sign is not within 500 feet of any residentially zoned or used property or any park, city-owned park of more than 1 acre. The proposed sign will not obstruct the view of traffic or any of the traffic signs or signalization. And finally, the general advertising signs are listed as a permitted use in the light industrial zoning district. And the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval for this application. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Director. Any questions? Seeing none, motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Kinney to close public hearings. Council members, please vote.
Oh, wait till the next meeting.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Kinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,592, an ordinance amending section 15-23B of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kenner, Louisiana, by adding thereto a certain one-way traffic control on Sunset Boulevard between East Loyola Drive and Ole Miss Drive, indicating one-way traffic on Sunset Boulevard in a westerly direction.
Thank you. Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Council. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. This is the Morella amendment. Yes.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. I brought this issue to the council several months ago. I want to thank Councilman Brian Brennan. I want to thank Tom Schreiner, our Public Works Director, DOTD, the recommendation that was submitted to this council concerning that little Sunset Boulevard, and everyone who was involved. This was a very dangerous situation over there right in front of my house, and I'm glad now you guys finally made it happen. And once again, I want to thank you, and I'm sure the people who live in those little 4 houses on that street will feel the same way I do. Thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Kinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing the placement of temporary signs on Kenner public property advertising Kenner Cleanup Day hosted by Kenner United. This item was taken earlier in our meeting. Item 13B is a resolution reappointing Captain Robbie Bassino to the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board of the City of Kenner, whose current term expired on July 30th, 2019, for an additional term of 3 years. Madam President, I've received a request to defer this item for 2 meetings at the request of Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Segura, a 2-meeting deferral. Council members, please vote on a 2-meeting deferral. Motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution requesting the Governor's Office, the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, the New Orleans Aviation Board, and the City of New Orleans, the Regional Planning Commission, and the Parish of Jefferson work with the City of Kenner to seek funding for the construction of additional points of ingress and egress to the new terminal of the Louis Armstrong International Airport.
Councilmember Segura, I think you have a presentation, correct?
I actually have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Carroll, to put the motion on the floor.
Thank you. All right, this resolution, as it read, is asking various governmental entities, particularly the Governor's Office, Department of Transportation, New Orleans Aviation Board, Regional Planning Commission, Jefferson Parish, and City of Kenner, to all actively work together to help resolve what is going to be, from numerous reports, a traffic nightmare in the City of Kenner when the airport opens. As it stands right now, the main ingress, egress for the airport coming off of the either I-10 or Veterans is at the intersection of Loyola, and then enter into the airport connector road. With that single point of ingress, egress, it's going to cause traffic backups and nightmares for a long time until perhaps their flyover gets finished, which initially was 3-4 years. Someone's now saying 2 years, so hopefully they're optimistic and correct, but construction has its issues. But another big issue with this single point of ingress, egress, is that because of it being a single point, it's not a question of if, but a question of when there will be an accident at that intersection, and that accident causes the shutdown of that intersection while it's being investigated by our police department. While it's being investigated, you're going to have backup on the interstates, backup on Veterans, and then you're going to have airline flights leaving without passengers. You're going to have passengers arriving and not being able to leave the terminal. So not to just present a problem, but to present a problem and then offer a solution is what the mayor and myself have been very active in working on, and with the assistance of Mr. Richard Lambert, an engineer, we have a solution that we think is quick and easy to do and won't cost a whole lot of money, but it does cost money, so that's where asking all of these city governments to participate is what we're trying to do. This secondary point of ingress, egress is what we're trying to get funded. And with a secondary point of ingress, egress, then not only does it help relieve the Loyola and Veterans interstate traffic backups, it will also help the community tremendously because it will utilize the West Napoleon corridor all the way from Causeway to the airport service road and allow residents that live in that corridor to not have to get on the interstate or Veterans to get to the airport. They will be able to travel down West Napoleon. I have some quick slides and some information, so IT, if you can put that up.
Where am I picking?
All right, the first slides are just giving some of the information which I've just went over, so we don't need to read all of that. It's just, explaining where the traffic problems are going to be at. Next slide. As I said, we would want to use the West Napoleon corridor all the way from Causeway and bring it to the service road. Also, is the airport service road will be having a fair amount of traffic coming from airline as a result of the rental car and parking garage that are still accessible from airline, going to still be in operation, and they will need to travel the service road to get to the airport. And if they use the Veterans Corridor, that contributes more to the traffic buildup at Loyola. So this, here's a typical afternoon picture of the I-10. You can catch that every afternoon looking like that. As I said, we're just offering a solution now to help alleviate traffic buildup. I'll get to the next slides. All right, what we're doing here is, and this has got a little graphics that shows traffic patterns. Right now, when you come off of the interstate on the current service road overpass, you will go down to the vicinity of West Napoleon, where a turnaround would be installed, and then allow that traffic to come back around and utilize a portion of Veterans, which I'll get to in a second, and then go into the back entrance of the airport on the east side, which is not open yet for public. It was only going to be used for airport use, but our plan is to make it open for the public. What you see here now is we will take West Napoleon from Williams to the service road, put a road bed on it, and then allow traffic to now catch the service road and then come up to Veterans, and then over to Virginia, and then back down to the back entrance of the airport. When you see this, you say, well, wait, how does that affect Veterans? How do we get that traffic? Right now, Veterans is our street, and we utilize it very rigorously every day. What we intend to do is take Veterans and rebuild it just north of where it's at on airport property, and just do a little dog leg on both east and westbound directions, and then go on the north end. Then we'll be able to facilitate with the Aviation Board the use of the original Veterans and tie it into the service road and Virginia, and make it a continuous loop without any red lights, without any hindrance to traffic, and get traffic, as I said, from Metairie, all up and down the West Napoleon corridor, and allow it to get to the terminal other than the Loyola and Veterans interchange. So this concept would allow us to do this in about estimated a year's worth of construction and an estimated 20 to 25 million in cost. Now, that amount of money is pale compared to the cost of what's being spent by the state on the flyover, which is 120 million, and only offers that one ingress and egress. So the money that we're going to be trying to obtain is to put in this traffic pattern, this traffic loop, and help our citizens, help our residents get to the airport or get from the airport in a much easier route than getting on the interstate. So with that, once hopefully this resolution passes, then we will start meeting with all of these other entities further. We have been meeting with them in the past, but now it's time to step it up a level and move it forward to show that this has to be done, because otherwise we're going to be in for a long period of traffic in that corridor, Councilman Carroll's district. The the prospect of, as it's been reported, the flyover taking shorter time, instead of 3-4 years, 2 years, the irony here is that when they start that construction and they're gonna put that flyover down the center where our fire station was, but the new lanes of traffic have closed in on it, they're gonna close both east and west lanes of that median to do their construction for that flyover. They gotta build the stanchions and the roadbed. You can't do that in that little space. They're gonna have to close lanes to do that. So for the whole 2 years or more that they're building it, you're gonna see choke right there because of losing those lanes. So with that, I'll entertain any questions my colleagues had and hope that we can move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. I know you provided a copy of all of us, a hard copy. Can we get a soft copy as well? Thank you. And Councilman Carroll, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to first thank Councilman Segura, along with the administration, for their additional support into dealing with some of the challenges that we all are going to have with this area. Obviously, it is in District 1. Our concerns, my concern as a councilman in District 1 for the people that live there and will be living there in spite of this new development are our concerns, and we should be. But it bleeds over to the entire city because it will affect everybody from veterans all the way back to the lake, this traffic situation that's going on. So it is incumbent upon us to look at different ways to be able to alleviate or to make things better. You know, we have to, it is a great resolution to incorporate the transportation, LA Transportation Development, the Orleans Aviation Board, Jefferson Parish, in conjunction with the city of Kenner. They don't always listen to what we say about different things, Mr. Muhammad, but I think if we continue to tell them things, eventually they will see that we have a dog in this fight, and we want to make sure that we are represented and the people we represent are number one, because that's our concern. You know, I've kind of, in the beginning, thought funding was a bigger issue for this project, which it is, but it seems as if the funding aspect of it has taken easier to put in place than schedules, because right now I have very little confidence in schedules right now, based on the number of times, the number of dates we've been giving to open the terminal as it relates to everything else. So that's kind of, you know, my confidence is very low. So, you know, you would think it would be the money, but I think it's just the overall schedule. And there are some things they are presently working on in conjunction with this that we are asking for that will be just as challenging with the schedule. So it is a good legislation. We look forward to supporting this, to support the whole, not only District 1, but the entire city, because we will be impacted by this, and it would affect all of us, all of our lives. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, Council President. When Councilman Segura came to me and said, look, we really need to address something here, I absolutely embrace this, because I'm going to say this on the record, this is something that we have inherited, okay? And I think I'm touching on both of you all and probably every council person. While it might be in District 1, I totally appreciate that, it's going to affect everybody in the city of Kenner, people coming in and out of that airport from the Metro New Orleans area, and the poor planning that happened, that did not, the poor planning, or the planning that did not happen because it was poor planning, we have got to address this. This sends a message out to all of our constituents that we have to worry about first, the Kenner residents first, then we worry about everybody else. But for the Kenner residents, this sends out a huge message, Council, that myself and the chief have asked to go on this legislation, because when I bring this to the governor, I need to have full support from every elected official in the city of Kenner. I'm tempted to even get the parish council to actually weigh in on this in that next meeting, which I think happens here in these chambers. But we have to make sure that the Kenner residents first have a plan, that we have a plan for them, and second, to remind everyone, guys, we also are affected by this. So while we did not, I don't think anybody here was around then, while we did not plan this, while we did not do the planning, or no one else, We have got to embrace this and move forward with this. And again, I want to thank you, our consultant that was chosen to do this. Obviously, Councilman Carroll and Councilman Brennan, because it's going to be a lot. And this will be able to be done probably within a year if we get approval on this. And I might have missed it, Councilman Segura, but there has been some money saved because of some different things with flyovers, with the flyover, that we may be able to tap into some of that money. This is the time to go to the governor's office, embrace our state reps and our state senators, and move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you, Madam President. And I agree with the mayor 100%. This is an application for us to ask the state for some assistance. I sat on Ways and Means, in which we heard capital outlay requests all the time. This is something that we need to happen for the city of Kenner. Very important. I hope that everybody supports it. I'm sure that they will. And we need everybody to jump on the bandwagon on this, because this is critical to the city of Kenner and our residents for traffic concerns and so forth. So thank you, Mike Segura, Councilman, for bringing this. This is good legislation, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, just as a point of clarification, if I could please, Councilman Segura has allowed me to change the author to the entire city council, the mayor, and the police chief, just as a point of clarification.
Thank you. Motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We took this item earlier in the meeting. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A, a resolution approving amendment number 3 to the professional services agreement between the City of Kenner and Blue Williams LLP.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is a resolution ratifying the lease agreement with Walker Imports Incorporated for the use of a portion of the Veterans Memorial Boulevard right-of-way in accordance with ordinance number 10,599.
Motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement with Messina's Incorporated, which increases the agreement amount by $52,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $192,000 per year, and extends the life of the agreement until November 27, 2019.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, I apologize. Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. Chief, we had a brief conversation earlier regarding this, and if you could just expound on a little bit for my colleagues.
Yes. I guess a couple of months ago, we increased the current contract by, I think, $41,000, I believe it was. This increase is needed because the current contract with Messina's is going to expire October the 2nd. It was, I guess, an oversight in one of my offices where they thought the contract ended later in the year. So the current contract, we have it's out for bid now. It ran on September 11th, September 18th, and September 25th, the weeks of. The opening of the bid will be October 8th. Then after a couple of council meeting readings and the required layover, the new contract would be November 2nd. So this is just to carry the existing contract until the new contract in November comes. The $50,000 is just so I don't have to come back in another meeting and ask for a couple of more dollars. Just increases the cap. We house, this is directly related to the number, the jail population, how many inmates we have. You know, we have 3 meals a day, and it's based on a head count. You know, in addition to, increased attachment arrest, if someone doesn't go to court, they're attached. You know, we house them until one of the city judges either, release them or somebody posts bond, and a little longer, jail sentences that, the mayor's court is handing out, all adds into this. So that's the reason. Basically, an oversight in the person that deals with the contracts was looking at the wrong module in the Munis system and now has it straight. So that's kind of how, a couple of meetings ago when we pulled the automotive contract that was up for, purchasing cars, and it was ending a lot sooner than the person thought. So it's on for first reading, and you'll see. So we should have it corrected now, and this is, okay?
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. I have no further questions, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance repealing ordinance number 3894 and establishing a new fee for the reproduction of fire reports for the City of Kenner Fire Department. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Gus Willie Apparel LLC to provide football and volleyball uniforms on an as-needed basis in accordance with letter bid number 19-1587 and an amount not to exceed $28,980 annually for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16C is an ordinance authorizing the use of existing Jefferson Parish contract number 4400011124 with Ozark Materials LLC to purchase thermoplastic markings on an as-needed basis not to exceed $50,000 annually for the Department of General Services. Item 16D is an ordinance authorizing the use of the Louisiana State contract numbers 4400005417, 4400008570, and 4400015182 with Vehicle Parts and Equipment Incorporated to provide light bars and sirens in an amount not to exceed $100,000. Item 16E is an ordinance ratifying the purchase of a New Holland Workmaster 60 tractor and bush hog rotary mower in the amount of $26,812.36 from Chauvin Brothers Tractor Incorporated, utilizing state contracts number 4400010231 and 4400009903 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16F is an ordinance accepting the bid received from ProChem Incorporated to supply ant killer as needed to the City of Kenner in accordance with letter bid number 19-1584 and an amount not to exceed $10,000 annually for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16G is an ordinance authorizing the repair to Case 850K Dozer Unit 2101 by Lee Tractor Company, an authorized dealer, in the amount of $11,924.29 for the Department of Public Works Division of Streets and Drainage. Item 16H is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Red Bud Supply Incorporated to supply rain gear and boots in accordance with letter bid number 19-1585 and an amount not to exceed $10,000 annually for the City of Kenner. Item 16I is an ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office contract number 19-AUG-0701 with Lamarck Ford Incorporated, courtesy Ford, Matt Bowers Ford, to purchase vehicles on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $1 million for the life of the agreement for the Departments of Fleet, Fire, and Police. Item 16J is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Jack B. Harper Electrical LLC to provide repair of traffic signal systems in accordance with seal bid number 19-6499 and an amount not to exceed $50,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16K is an ordinance approving change order 1 through 7 final to the construction agreement with Barrier Construction Company LLC dated August 17, 2019 regarding Williams Boulevard and US 61 intersection improvements, state project number H.011457, federal aid project number H.011457, Kenner Public Works number 2014-011C-CIP, decreasing the contract amount by $37,537.60 and increasing contract time by 13 working days and accepting the project as complete for the Department of Public Works. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilmember Hayes.
Thank you, Madam President. We all have been recently copied on information about higher water bills, and the mayor did mention that the Jefferson Council probably will be meeting here on October 2nd We did receive information that Councilman Dominic Impastato has asked the Jefferson Water Department to attend that meeting and to give a full reconciliation about the situation. Just wanted to announce that to everybody. If you're interested, make sure you attend that meeting, 10 o'clock here on October 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayes. Councilmember Brannigan.
I just want to let the residents of District 4 know that monthly I go out and drive all of the main thoroughfares looking for street lights out. On Wednesday, I found 9 of them, and I send a video back to my assistant, and she knows whether it's an energy pole or a city pole, and they get them fixed in about a week. I do ride every street quarterly, but if you see a street light out in your subdivision around your home, please call my office and report it. That way it's not out that long. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Brannigan. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I was not here at the beginning of the meeting, but I would like the council, the administration, everyone in the audience to keep the family members and Miss Elwyn Manego, who was a citizen of Kenner for many, many years, along with her family, right there on Fillmore Street, that is going on to glory with our Lord and Savior. So I would like to ask everyone to keep Elwyn and her family in your prayers. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you, Council President. And to follow up on Councilman Hayes' comments, Councilman Impastato did send out correspondence, and he's asking for people to contact his office in the event of any issues with the water bills. If you need his contact information, you're certainly welcome to call my office. I'm sure everyone else here has it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Mayor Zahn?
So in reference to that, I've spoken to Councilman Impastato over the last 3 days, right before I walked into this council meeting. Yes, they will be here on October the 3rd, and he plans on having the water director to ask those questions. I just did an interview with the media. He assures everyone in the city of Kenner and also my office that it will be addressed. And if anybody knows how he addresses things, we know that it will be addressed. So yes, you can call the council offices, but I'm trying to get a tracking on it along with Councilman Impastato. So I'd appreciate calling to my office so we don't make it too troublesome. And Dominic and I are working on that together. But thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Anyone else? Great. Thank you.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and are motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Mr. Robbie Bassino? Okay. Mr. Morella, please state your name and address. And how long have you been living in Kenner?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. First of all, I want to extend my prayers and condolences. I understand we had a sanitation worker that was killed in an accident on one of the Ramelli sanitation trucks. It wasn't in the news. I found out about it from one of their co-workers. The mayor touched on it briefly at the last meeting. But that's about as far as it went. So once again, I want to extend my condolences and my prayers to the family of that individual. And I guess a story on the front page about sea life is more important than someone losing their life trying to make an honest day's living. Now, I want to respond to an article on September 15th by columnist Stan Fagan of The Advocate. Mr. Fagan, I agree with everything he said, and this is relative to this ill-conceived project, this airport terminal that Councilman Segura and Councilman Carroll just touched on some of the negative impact it's had on our city. This was not conceived out of necessity. This project was conceived for the political payback and the political patronage, and to revive people's fledgling political careers. That's what it was conceived from. And why am I standing here saying this? Because before it even got off the ground, there was multiple lawsuits filed that delayed it because members of the political establishment were trying to circumvent the public bid laws. And I agree with Mr. Fagan. We could have took the $650 million, that's what the price tag was when it was first conceived. And it was supposed to be completed by May of 2018. No one knows when the ribbon cutting is going to be now, and the price tag is $1.5 billion for a project that's going to continue to cost the taxpayers of the state of Louisiana forever. And I also agree with James Mohamed's assessment. The problems that are plaguing that ill-conceived project is going to continue as long as that building is there. It's not going nowhere. So, because of the political payback, the political patronage, we got to pay for this. And it's going to continue. It's never going to end, folks. Should have been rented. The existing terminal that's there now has been there since 1948. No problems. It could have been renovated. It could have been transformed into a state-of-the-art facility. There was no need for this debacle. And that's what I'm going to call it, a debacle. It's yet another symbol. And we got plenty of them.
Thank you.
It represents the political payback and the political patron, a debacle. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you for the extra time, Council Chairwoman. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Taft? Thank you. Mickey Geruso? Okay, Saley Molina? Please approach, state your full name and address for the record, and how many years you've lived in Kenner.
Saley Molina, 5th District. I don't know, about 30-something years. I don't want to say my age. I am here because I would like to formally request of the council enact a social media policy for the administration. And I would like for the social media policy to prevent members of the administration to intimidate, cyberbully residents into not coming into these honorable meetings. Back in May 2019, there was a post, a recurring post on the group that was attempting to address some issues at the park, some safety issues at the park. That post was posted every month for 4 months until it became a thing. Subsequently, the mayor had mentioned and spoken about it at the council meeting and stated that this just popped up on social media one day. Well, a lot of the conversations were had on social media, and since that point, there's been a lot of posts and comments that have threatened and bullied me directly because I am the primary administrator of this site. I've done my best to try to avoid them and deflect them, but recently, in one of the most recent attacks, this person makes a comment, and when I say this person was mentioned at that meeting as a person that has privilege within the city. She answers questions that are pertaining to the city, and she presents herself as someone who has some sort of inside knowledge and is seen and different, and it's not just one person. These are comments that are then supported, liked, shared by members and city employees and members of the administration. In that recent post, and I'll quote, she says, there was a recent bashing post, and she comments, and she says, I've never, and I quote in part, I've never been approached by her, speaking of me, nor does she attend city council meetings anymore. Haven't seen her since BZ handed her own ass for being a person who initiates chaos. I rewatch that meeting every now and then. I had never thought to come back because I didn't have an issue to bring before the council. And I had been dealing with my own situation on social media myself. But when I saw that comment, it struck me because I don't want anyone who looks to me, that follows me, that respects me, to think that I was bullied or intimidated, by those actions to come here. So I felt compelled not only to stand up for myself in this situation, but to stand up for others as I saw some of the injustices with some of the other residents. So I just asked the council to consider that 80% of people today have Facebook profiles, that 85% of companies out there have a social media policy. Our Kenner Fire Department has a social media policy that it must abide by, as our Kenner Police Department. But our administration is going during work hours on a personal site from group to group, passing misinformation and them causing chaos. Okay, it was in another group that one of the administrative assistant of the mayor got into an argument with a resident based on a conversation that resident had with Mr. Segura. Mr. Segura.
Mr. Molina, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I just need for you guys to enact a social media policy. That's what this is about.
Thank you.
Any comments, any questions?
Thank you,
Okay, well,
Mayor
thank
Zahn.
you very much.
I got,
Yes.
thank you. I have some questions for her because I'd like to know what city employee that is.
Well, the city employees that were,
No. The quote that you did, what's that city employee?
well, like I said, that person is not a city employee. I had already texted you and asked you about that, but it is a person that represents herself to be.
You represented it, that text or that Facebook post, you misleading the public one more time. You're misleading everyone here saying is that a city employee or not?
You would be able to
Is it a
answer
city
that-
employee or
you
not? You came up with the accusation. What is it? Is it a city
would-
employee?
Okay, may I answer the question?
Yes or no?
I
That's all it
wouldn't have that
takes.
information if she's a city employee unless I make a public records request. I'm here before the council.
Okay, so you just answered my question. So she's insinuating that some individual in the city of Kenner is a city employee. I have no idea who it is. If a city employee did that, we would take action. Let me just give her a history lesson or a civics lesson. Y'all don't pass policies. I pass policies. If y'all went to the extent of passing an ordinance of telling me what I can post on the city page, that probably wouldn't work out too well. Because I'm telling you right now, I probably wouldn't listen to it. Because my posts absolutely, positively are not political. I mean, are we going to go through this again? I post only on the city page what this city is doing. There's a selective group of individuals that continue just to harass everyone. It's almost hypocritical for you to come up here and talk about bullying. The people, my employees, there was a lady that stood in your spot a few years ago, finally went away, thank God, that would do the same thing to our city attorney at the time. I defended that city employee. I will defend every city employee unless that's a city employee doing that, and I will take action against it. This council is in no position to tell me what to post on Facebook and not, because look at my posts. My personal page is basically what I post on the city page. It's all about positive things. Chad Pitfield has been harassed. Lee Roussel has been harassed. Michelle Lawler has been harassed. I'll name the names. Your group, maybe you, looking back, I have not been part of your page for a long time, bully people. Our administration bullies no one. Look, you've heard I don't usually get this ticked off, but you've heard the chief get ticked off when this comes down to get the police department being harassed or, intimidated or, told lies about the police department. I've heard the chief come out like this once before. I will not tolerate any individual coming up here and saying things that is not true and talk about bullying when the bullying is on the other side. This has grown into a circus from a year and a half, 2 years ago,
I can provide screenshots to anyone who would like, with the likes and everything to substantiate.
That's not harassing. That's not bullying. That's not harassing or bullying. I have an employee right now that has been wrongly accused. Are you part of the Citizens for a Better Kenner?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay, well, that's good. I have an employee right now that has been wrongly accused by a group, which y'all are not, well, maybe some of y'all are aware of it, but that's almost incredible that this continues with a certain group of people that continue to tell this administration or some council people that we're bullying. This is a joke, guys. No policy will be passed because I pass the policies. If y'all pass an ordinance telling me what to post on Facebook, good luck. Because I'm not, look, I post positive things on Facebook. Show me one thing that Ben Zahn / the city of Kenner has posted on Facebook.
Sir,
Y'all
this isn't
post what
about
y'all
you.
want. I don't tell you all to post what y'all need to post. Sometimes you copy my posts and you paste it, copy and paste it and share it. That's fun. I'm glad you do. Sometimes y'all post personal things. Sometimes y'all post things about your districts. Have I ever inquired what you're doing? No. This is ridiculous, and I will not allow it.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn.
If I may respond, even when the gentleman, the mayor from Honduras came, okay, and he visited for economic development, on the City of Kenner's webpage, the remarks that were racist were horrible. They were embarrassing to us as a city, in my opinion. And now that I understand, I did not know that the mayor would be the one enacting the policy, but I do, like a lot of other cities across the country, they enact policies to prevent people from being intimidated from coming to these public gatherings and, and being harassed. And like I said, any council member who would like to reach out to me for screenshots to verify what I'm saying, I would be happy to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Molina.
Thank you so
There
much.
were no racist comments or no negative comments by my administration on that post. We cannot control what other people add, just like she can't control what people add to her page.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. Scott Fritzhertz, please state your name and your address for the record.
Hello, Scott Frischurz, 828 Sessions Lane, Kenner, Louisiana, Westwood subdivision, resident for 28 years, implant from Old Metairie. Okay, this is my fiance, Joelle Amedio. First of all, excuse my appearance. I'm on a self-imposed water rationing because of what's going on with these water bills. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. I was pleased to hear some of the comments here. We will be here October 3rd. What I'd like to happen, apparently I used 61,000 gallons of water.
You should be very clean.
Yeah, I should be. I must have taken a shower 5 times a day and filled up a couple of pools. But anyway, so this is ridiculous the way this happened, and we asked for a reread. We were denied. So I have, if it helps y'all in going in a solid front from the city of Kenner to Jefferson Parish, I will submit, if you would like to make copies of my bills, my denial of a reread, all the estimated charges here, or estimated gallons usage, because it's ridiculous. In a year and a half, and actually I can look back 28 years, but in a year and a half, the most I've ever used is 16,000 gallons of water in in 2 months. So what I heard on the news was unacceptable, and hopefully, of course, I can't do it by myself, just as a resident and just as a citizen. So I'm glad to know we're going to have the backing of the city of Kenner, because Jefferson Parish is its own, we're part of that, but it's its own entity. But we, as a city, we should fight this together, because I actually pulled up my thing. I have so much condensation in there's no way it was red. There's no way my meter could have possibly been red, okay? Second of all, this is the first time speaking here, pretty educational, to say the least.
You picked a good first meeting.
And I have some friends up here. Oh, yeah, no, I am. And, also, we have a backup problem when we have heavy rains on Sessions Lane, middle of the block. There's about 3 houses that the water backs up in our toilets. So, Mr. Brannigan, I'm 828. Yeah, one time we were told it was because of a lift station, it was this, and they were over there. But it happens every time we have a big rain. And it's my fault. I've been meaning to report it, but I haven't. Yeah. Yeah, right. Let's see, Richard's having problems, and who else? The other lady, I'm not sure of her name. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of all in the same row in the middle of the block, and it's on our side. Really, I haven't heard any complaints from the other side. Okay? I mean, most of the time it'll just go to the top, but the past couple of times with the heavy rains, it's actually overflowed in our houses. Yeah. So this is, yeah. Yeah, good, yeah. I mean, it seems to be clean water. It doesn't seem to have anything in it, but it's still coming up through the toilets. But on a brighter note, just as far as education-wise, for myself, I'll put our representatives in this city up against anybody in America. So you have my admiration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't hear that a lot.
I also just want to clarify that the Jefferson Parish Council meeting is going to be on October 2nd in this chamber. I know it was mentioned October 3rd, so just, yes, the 2nd.
But then I heard
At 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was confused as well. Oh, yes, I apologize. Councilman Carroll.
Yeah, for my curiosity, how much is $61,000 worth of water worth?
Well, apparently it goes up in percentages, okay? The water consumption for 61,000 gallons is $123.20. But apparently the sewer operations and maintenance actually go up the same percentage.
Yes.
Because I guess they figure if it comes in, it's got to go out, okay? But also the sewer capital improvement and debt reduction actually went up. That's almost $100, which is more than my bill normally is.
It will, as everything
Yeah,
else
so everything went up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so normally my bill is not even $100 a month.
Now
it's
$400.
it's $379.68.
Thank you.
And after 28 years, and I've never had a bill like this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bring this first. Councilman
Anybody
Brannigan.
need copies of this?
Councilman Brannigan.
For shirt? I'm going to get this reported to Veolia, the sewer company. Richard, what's your address?
I'll give him the Ed so he can.
Okay.
I'm glad I joked with him early on. I'm going to get a joke.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm just the front edge of this storm that's coming because you're going to have a lot of people that's going to be calling you up and complaining. Apparently, it's all over Jefferson Parish, but
Yeah.
I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about us. You know.
I got you.
And also, I'm disabled, and she had a liver transplant successfully. So,
Great. Thank you. Councilman Segura.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan.
yes.
Just didn't hear it. Your actual reported gallons used for that bill?
Was 61,000.
And what is it usually?
It's at the most. If I look back on my bills, it's never been more than like 16,000 in the last year and a half. So if you use their equation of what they put on their website and how they equated estimate, they said that they will go back. Mine would have been 10, because some months I've used 3,000, some months 7, a couple of times, 16, 15, stuff like that. So mine would average out to be about 10. Well, according to their math. Okay, this must be the new math because I get 61,000.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you get the notice, between the parish and the city, we're going to be helping everybody out because if you might recall, sometime, and I forgot it was this year or late last year, Energy went through the same issue.
Yeah, I do
with
recall that.
reading of their meters.
Right.
So they had to do some issues to straighten that out. Partially, they're putting in the new smart meters, but
I mean, nothing against them, but this is the reason I don't live in the city of New Orleans, if you know what's going on down there,
okay. Well, you can be assured that your councilman, the mayor, and all of us will be working to resolve this.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming today. Appreciate it. Mr. Benetti, state your full name and address for the record.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Walt Benetti, 7 Bistineau Court. I've been a resident of Kenner for 19 years, 18 of those in Highway Park in Councilman Segura's district, and for the last year in District 5, Councilman Brennan's district. As president of Kenner United, I wanted to thank the council for their support of our past efforts, our current cleanup day, and our future, hopefully our future events as well. For those of you that did not support us as elected officials, you're still welcome to come to the event and support us as private citizens. We welcome everyone. Kenner United will not turn anyone away. We're not going to say, you can't come, you're not going to get a T-shirt, or you're not going to get bags. We welcome everyone. It's a citywide effort. We want to do good within the city of Kenner. During my previous comments, I wanted to apologize to Councilman Segura and the mayor and other council members if I interrupted them. Sometimes it is easier to answer a question, especially when it's part of a multi-part question or a filibuster, and answer that question and head off possible other questions, just shorten things. Not all of you know me well, but I think all of you know me well enough to know that I'm not a rude person. And I've always tried to act civilly with the council, whether we've agreed on issues or disagreed. So if I appeared abrasive or adversarial or I was interrupting, I apologize for that. Now, as Walt Benetti, private citizen, which I still am, I wanted to thank Councilwoman McKinney and Councilman Brennan. Councilman Brennan and I have not always agreed on issues, and I'm now a constituent of his. But a week or so ago, I contacted him and Councilwoman McKinney with an issue that I had with Romelli. Councilman Brennan put aside whatever personal differences we may have or differences on issues and addressed the problem immediately. Romelli came out the next day and solved the problem. So I appreciate Councilman Brennan for putting aside any personal feelings or animosity towards me and doing his job as a councilman and solving a constituent problem. That's what it should be about, and I appreciate Councilman Brennan's efforts. So thank you. Well, I do, but thank you. I knew they sent me a used one. I think I told you that. It was not new, but it was still better than the one I had. Right. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti. And Mr. Brown, state your name and address for the record.
Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner, and I have been here 24 years. Three issues. First, I want to say something about this abysmal situation we have with the water bills in Kenner and parts of Jefferson Parish that's been addressed. I hope that all of you in the council and administration will just follow up and do what you can to help see that this gets resolved. My water bill this time was the same as it has been, and I live next door to Scott Fritzhertz. I've seen his bill. My water usage is usually 9,000, 10,000, or 11,000 gallons per cycle, and it was this time. Although I'm not sure my meter has been read in quite some time, because I went out yesterday to read it and had one heck of a time digging up the cover and then cleaning off the glass enough that I could read it. I may get hit with a surprise soon. So I appreciate y'all's help on that. Second issue, just wanted to touch base on what Scott Fritzhertz brought up about the sewer problems. Mr. Brannigan, there are three out of the 4 houses between 816 Sessions and 828 Sessions. 3 of those 4 houses constantly have sewer backups whenever we have a heavy rain. The last issue is something you're going to take up at the next council meeting, the proposed, almost said ride share ordinance, the Airbnb type ordinance, short-term rentals. There you go, house share, whatever, that works. I'm disappointed to say I have not yet read the entire ordinance. I have printed it out. I've been involved in other things. I will read it very soon. I do want to urge you to consider one thing. I do suggest one change, because as I understand it, this ordinance will prohibit short-term rentals in R1 areas, in most residential areas. I hope this council will consider an amendment that will perhaps allow it at least in owner-occupied residences, where the owner wants to just rent out 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms in his own house that he lives in. I hope you will at least consider that possibility for residential areas. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Councilman Brannigan.
Appreciate it, thank you. And it has been before. It's been an ongoing problem, and we don't know what the issue is.
I just sent it in
I think
again.
Mayor Zahn has even tried to address it in the past.
Richard, I just sent it in again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Thank you.